This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Roll. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, a leading employer in East Grand Bahama expanding its operations, and the Prime Minister traveled to the nation's second city today for the historic event. John Davis Roll has our top story.
It was a grand occasion that marked the official arrival of the nation's chief executive, as he was greeted by top executives of one of the leading storage facilities in the region, Statoil South Riding Point. The historic tilling of the soil paving the way for the commencement of a multi-million-dollar project. The construction of Statoil's brand new state-of-the-art administration building to be built at a cost of over $3 million. The nation's leader, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie, calling the project more than an investment, but Statoil's continued commitment to Grand Bahama's overall growth and development.
You play a very vital role in the economy of Grand Bahama, and the fact that you are a leading European petroleum conglomerate representing the largest Scandinavian investment in our country augurs very well. You have a wonderful reputation, and you're, I think, the third largest crude oil seller and the second largest gas exporter to Europe, that you're operating in 35 countries worldwide. This new administration building is being constructed at a cost of over $3 million, and I'm told using local contractors. That means that they will benefit from this project, ensuring that much of this expenditure is injected into the Grand Bahamian economy. Statoil's approach and record on training has been progressive and commendable. Such an approach augurs well for the future of the company, creating an environment of stability and growing productivity. I'm advised that over the next 3 years, Statoil will carry out another $60 million worth of upgrades, which will breathe more life into the Grand Bahamian economy and enhance the global business being conducted at what has become a state-of-the-art crude oil blending and transshipment facility.
Terminal manager at Statoil, Dalton Russell, says that the company is committed to the economic growth of this area as it continues to grow by leaps and bounds.
Today is indeed a great day for us here at Statoil. This all began 5 years ago for some, and as Kevin said, 40 years ago for me, because even though up to the point when we had the acquisition, Drexel Pinder and I, God rest his soul, would sit and talk about the potential that this facility has and how great it would be for someone or for a company, one of the national oil companies or otherwise, to be able to see the potential and decide to come and invest in our facility.
Officials say that as more opportunities come on stream, so will employment opportunities for Bahamians.
That we will continue to build close relationship with the Bahamian community. We still want to work closely with the Bahamian government, with whom we have had a very good collaboration so far, and we intend to continue to do that.
Statoil officials say once completed, this project is expected to solidify the company's commitment not only to East Grand Bahama, but indeed the Bahamas. Reporting for ZNS Network News, I'm Joan Davis Roll.
Now, foremost on the mind of the Prime Minister during today's ceremony was the Ebola disease. Join us tomorrow night as ZNS News will bring you the Prime Minister's remarks and the government's latest efforts to tackle this major issue. Well, the Ministry of Health giving the assurance that the proper protocols were followed when a ship arrived in Freeport from Africa earlier this week. According to that statement, health authorities were notified prior to anyone being allowed to leave the vessel. The vessel was then evaluated by the surveillance team on the island, and it was discovered that the crew had been out to sea for more than 21 days, which is the established incubation period for the Ebola virus. Now, additionally, officials say after a medical evaluation on board the ship, no crew member was found to be ill or to have any symptoms related to the Ebola virus, and it was declared that there was no established risk to the population. ZNS News has been informed that the vessel, an oil tanker, arrived in Freeport on Monday from Nigeria after a 21-day journey at sea. The Public Hospitals Authority also doing its part to ensure its staff members are fully prepared. During a one-day seminar, President of the Emergency Educational Institute, Thurs on Grand Bahama to share best practices in prevention and other safety aspects. As Grand Bahama is a major port within the region, Sword is commenting on how those that work within that industry should be prepared.
Any precautions like that will be totally up to your port authority as to really what they want to have as guidelines for that. But again, you're looking at then where the ship has come from and also then how the people on board been feeling. It's again evaluating and looking at the honesty of the people that are coming in, looking at the manifest and speaking with the captain. Has anyone been ill and shown any signs or symptoms? And again, you're basing it upon the honesty of the people. So we're asking that everyone worldwide be honest about how you're feeling, where you've been.
Now, in recent international news, healthcare workers can be seen in full protective gear when dealing with patients suspected of having the virus. Sword says those type of protective measures are taken based on the discretion of the authorities at the various ports.
Be really totally up to the guidelines of the Port Authority. If they wish that a ship comes from a certain area, that will be totally up to them as to what they want their staff to do.
The Bahamas Agricultural and Industrial Corporation signing a contract for the completion of the Grand Bahama Arts and Crafts Center on East Sunrise Highway. The contract is valued at around $100,000. In 2011, BAIC's gallery was renovated, but to date, it's still not complete. Now, the signing of a new contract will add the final touches to all outstanding remedial work for the center. Once completed, the center will allow natives and visitors to experience the Bahamian culture through arts and craft as well as arts and craft production. The Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Dr. Michael Darble, says the center will also be included in the itinerary for tour operators.
This facility will also be used for packaging and housing of Bahamians' crafts for showcase and sale, thus creating much-needed employment and entrepreneurial opportunities for local artisans. Recognizing that the role of the Ministry for Grand Bahama is playing in turning around our local economy, I am excited to be a part of this signing ceremony and the partnership with BAIC, the Ministry of Tourism, the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, the Grand Bahama Port Authority, the Grand Bahama Arts Association, and I look forward to working closer with our private sector partners to complete other meaningful projects throughout Grand Bahama in the near future.
Chairman of BAIC and Member of Parliament for Mount Moriah, Arnold Forbes, says this center is all about putting Bahamians back to work and showcasing Bahamian talent. He gives credit to the Grand Bahama Port Authority for working with the government to make this initiative a reality.
We've met with Mrs. St. George, I think it was about a year ago when we started to plan this. And today is, it's a happy day because today we put our money where our mouth is. BAIC, along with the Bahamas government, with the approval of the Cabinet of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, has approved to move ahead and do our part so that this project can be a reality.
Forbes says other BAIC projects are in the pipelines for Grand Bahama. The chairman adds that the culture of arts and crafts is important to many people.
This building will be converted into something that will be the jewel of culture and art in Grand Bahama and hopefully throughout the Bahamas. Therefore, BAIC, whether it's here or in New Providence or in any other island, is about building infrastructure so that Bahamians can express themselves through art, through culture, through agriculture.
The contract was awarded to Patrick McDonald Construction Company. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, will be back right after this.
Bringing news that matters to you. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition.
Welcome back. The Antiquities, Monuments, and Museum Corporation is establishing an historical presence on Grand Bahama. This entity will chronicle the history and culture of Grand Bahama and its residents. Now, they have already commenced meetings with stakeholders to join in this historical tour. Natalie Martinborough reports.
Office facilities have already been located on the ground floor of the Harold Gregory building on the Mall Drive for the Antiquities, Monuments, and Museums Corporation here on Grand Bahama. The local office will help to identify, conduct research, and mount exhibitions on various aspects of the culture of Grand Bahama.
Grand Bahama, in turn, has its own unique history. That a lot of it is based on immigration, but it's a unique history as well. That story needs to be told, but it also needs to be preserved. And so we're here to establish that presence. Hopefully we have the signage that will tell the history of the various historic sites. What do they mean? Why are they there? Why are people making reference to it?
Outside of New Providence, the corporation already has a presence in Abaco and San Salvador. Director Dr. Keith Tinker says they are trying to get a pulse of all of the islands as well as every community on each island.
East End story is not necessarily that of West End and vice versa. And Freeport is in between. I call it an abrogation of the 1950s, really emerged. But most people, when they talk about Grand Bahama, they think of Freeport. Freeport is not necessarily the soul of Grand Bahama at all. It happens to be the principal city. But then there are components in East and West End and the communities in between, really. Their story needs to be told. Why is 8 Mile Rock called 8 Mile Rock? What is the significance of the names?
Tinker says team members will hold a series of meetings throughout Grand Bahama to get the views of residents. A major focus, he notes, is the separation of folklore from facts. This, he states, can go a long way with the promotion of heritage tourism as well.
We're working very closely with the Ministry of Tourism to ensure that while their job is really to promote and advance the product itself, our job is to help, and also to market it, our job is to help to identify it and ensure that the historic aesthetics of these sites are preserved. Many too often people would want to go in to improve upon history. And if you're doing that in ignorance, then invariably, in many instances, it's lost.
Natalie Martinborough, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Natalie. Well, the first meeting on rum running is set for St. Mary Magdalene Church Hall in West End. Well, it is Diplomatic Week here in the Bahamas. As part of an initiative to educate Bahamians of the work of our overseas missions, spearheaded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, on Tuesday, the Consul General to New York, Forrester Carroll, visited several public schools. His final stop was the 8 Mile Rock High School. Carroll noting that it is important for high school students to be aware of what our Consul Generals do abroad, as they play a vital role in our society.
We have not paid attention, generally, the general population not paid attention to Ministry of Foreign Affairs matters. And so we really do not know, generally, what is done in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I think the idea here is that the best platform we can use to sort of send that out is in the high school children. And so that is why we've come to the high schools.
Now it is also Youth Month, and seniors across the nation are now preparing for life after high school, be it post-secondary education, employment, or trade. Carroll offered advice to students as they embark on their new journey ahead.
I would advise them to think about a vocation or a profession that will fit in, if they intend to come back home. There's plenty of them go off and don't come back, but that will fit in the needs of the Bahamas, the future needs of the Bahamas. So a lot of them will have to find employment here, but I would suggest that instead of employment, that they find a trade. They go to a trade school and learn a trade, because you know, if you're a plumber or you're a carpenter or you're a mason by profession and you're good at it, they could earn a good living, believe me.
Now, Carol also visited Jack Hayward High School and St. George's High Schools yesterday morning and 8 Mile Rock High School in the afternoon. Well, the Royal Bahamas Police Force coming to the aid of one of their own in the ranks. Last month, the force teamed up with Bahama Rock to host a gospel concert at Jubilee Cathedral to raise funds to assist Reserve Corporal 314 Anthony Wilshcombe. On Monday afternoon, Wilshcombe was presented with the proceeds from that event with a tearful reaction. He managed to express his gratitude.
I would like to say a special thank you to everyone who was involved in pulling this gun concert off, which I really enjoyed. I must say I really enjoyed that. You know, I just want to say thank you to everybody, especially to the Bahama Rock, my company, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, and everybody who had a hand in this concert. I just want to say thank you, and I'm sure this check will go a long way.
Now, Emerick Seymour, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Grand Bahama, says though the monies raised for Wilshcombe's medical expenses were substantial, members of the community are still urged to donate what they can when they can.
And we trust that this particular money, this funds will definitely go a long way, and of course alleviating some of the medical bills he has. We know by any stretch of the imagination this is perhaps will not suffice everything, and so we still make that appeal to members of the public again, notwithstanding the effort that was raised and of course the funds being presented to him today. We still want to ask them to please, where they can, lend whatever financial support so that we can get this officer back to 100% where he was.
Now, if you would like to assist, contact the police station in West End or Bahama Rock. That's a look at stories making news this evening. Stay with us, Ricardo Liborn, as a check on sports when we come back.
Everybody, and welcome to Sports. I'm Ricardo Liborn. Tonight, this one is going out to Ashlyn Monroe. It's a special day for her, and yeah, your mom ain't joking. Domino's Pizza Coca-Cola Power A-Tip-Off Basketball Classic underway. Jack Hayward Gymnasium is the venue. Sunline defeated Mary Star Academy 44-9. St. George's top BMES 59-29. Egmont Rock and Tabernacle also in the win column. Let's see how it was done. The Jack Hayward Gymnasium was spaced by request only on opening night. Egmont Rock Blue Jays at the charity stripe and cashed in, and it got the lead. Jack Hayward Wildcats need a game plan, and the Jays are tough. Egmont Rock has a new look and a new attitude. The Wildcats show that they can actually shoot the rock as well at the free-throw line, and every point will count. Everyone on their feet and feeling the excitement of the game. Blue Jays principal Ivan Butler conducting traffic on Queens Highway. The Jays up 40-34, and Jack Hayward needs a tray to simply make something happen. But they were off. No GPS, miss after miss shot. It proved to be very costly for the Wildcats. Egmont Rock nipped Jack Hayward Wildcats 40-34. Moses Gibson and Dante Hepburn both the 10 points in this ball game. The Tabernacle Falcons took on the Grand Bahama Academy Flames, and this one was all Falcons. The Flames basketball. Watch the Falcons just take the rock away and go the next way to the rack. Hoops legend Ben Russell taking in this one. Be focused, be loyal, be committed. The motto of this year's tournament, and Tabernacle Falcons showing just that. The Flames coach Stubbs with the concerned look on his face. For good reason, folks. The Falcons can shoot the rock, and here comes the trays. You want solid play? Tabernacle guard have the mix. The Falcons on a 19-0 run. Grand Bahama Academy kept the fight on, but the rewards came on the offensive end. The Tabernacle Falcons won this one 59-13. Raheem Lang paced the Falcons with 16 big points. The Catholic Academy defeated the Flames of Grand Bahama Academy 38-36, and also D.S. Crofton had an 11-point game. Keon Swan with 12 in the loss. Egmont Rock Blue Jays moved to 2-0 with a 49-30 win over the BMES Warriors. Moses Gibson dropping in some 17 points for the Jays. Yusha Saint had 17 for the Warriors. Sunline Stingers, they took care of the St. George's Jaguars 43-39. Daniel Wright, 10 points to boot. Franklin Piton also with 10 points. And Tabernacle cruised by Jack Hayward 56-47. Raheem Lang is having a great series, 21 points. And Kian Longley also had 14 points there on court tonight. Should be a pretty good one as well. Now, the high school Oriole knows was in Nesbitt. A volleyball jamboree was played over the weekend at the St. George's Gymnasium. The St. George's Jaguars served by the Wildcats of Jack Hayward 25-18 and 25-15 for the senior boys title. It was Shaquille Butters who was named the MVP. But let me take you courtside to the senior girls finals. That was pretty good. The St. George's Jaguars and the Bishop Michael Alden Warriors on court in the senior girls finals. This one was nip and tuck from the first serve and the first set. The ladies Warriors with the momentum, but the Lady Jaguars were not about to give up any points just like that. The Jaguars got the ball to bounce in their favor, and the miscues by the Warriors helped the cause. The Warriors continued to have the issues on defense, and the Jaguars simply cashed in and the points to go with it. The Warriors called a quick timeout to settle down. The Lady Jaguars feeling the momentum, and it's in their favor. Bishop Michael Allen took the first set 25-14, and the Jaguars rallied back to take the second set 26-24, and they earned it the hard way. Parent support of the Jamboree was not as high as anticipated this year. The Jaguars coaching staff had a look on their faces going to the third set. The volleyball scorer's desk, well, Helena Cooper loves the game. Michael Eldon fan support was keen, and the finals showed. Get this, Tabernacle Junior boys and girls won the age group sweep. Altivia Hall and Franco Miller, they're your MVPs. The Lady Warriors took the final set 15-12 and the senior girls title. The MVP honor goes to Rothea Brown. GBSSAA President Kenton Rose said the support was not there.
We would like to see more fans and parents in here today, but in terms of the kids love volleyball and the sport is continuing to grow in high school.
The Jamboree brought to a close a competitive volleyball season, and for schools, development and participation is increasing.
We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there in terms of development. We would wish that the Ministry of Education and the government give us a little more support to especially on the 13s and on the 15s, because I know they're cutting back on those type of programs. But if you continue to cut back on those programs, you're going to see a difference when it comes to national players and like our track athletes, our basketball athletes. So we have to focus on development, especially in the primary schools and the younger divisions and the high school.
Well, the Focal Junior Tennis Tournament starting tomorrow, folks, at Lucaya Bath and Racket Club. The tournament is for boys and girls, 8 and under, 12, 10, 16, 14, and 8 and under. And they can play in 3 events, including singles. All players must be members of the Bahamas Lawn Tennis Association. The deadline is gone, so if you didn't register by Wednesday, you can forget it. Well, the tournament director, Godfrey Gully Bow, says it's sanctioned by the BLTA. It's going to run through Monday, and that's going to go to the 20th with the players from Eleuthera, Abaco, New Providence, Bimini, Exuma, all playing heated competition up there at the Lucaya Bath Racket Club. Go out there and check them out. I think you're going to be impressed in terms of how that goes out. Don't forget also the Bisong has a, what do they call it, clinic tonight. It's going to be at St. Paul's Methodist Church. I'm trying to get Shashina to go because she wants to just chop me up in here with, let me go. That's what.